Hello, I'm Andre. Welcome back to my craft room. Today we are going to make this pretty vase that I've turned into, a candle holder. And this is just a vase that I found at the local floral section of one of my big box stores. And you can also find vases in the glass section at most all of your Hobby Lobby stores or Michael's stores. We're also going to make this really cute pumpkin. And the pumpkins are really fun. What they are this year is a nice piece of fabric, and usually a piece of fabric that is 22 by 22. I believe I've been using 24 by 24. What we're going to do first is we're going to talk about what you're going to need for your candle holder. You're going to need to get a nice vase. I liked this one. I liked the shape of it. You're going to want to get some fall leaves. And these came on just a little spray of leaves. They've already put fall leaves away at your craft stores because they are bringing out the Christmas stuff already. And I found these actually in the Thanksgiving section. But hopefully you've got some of these little silk leaves at home from other falls, or do look in the Thanksgiving section at your craft stores. What we're going to have to do is get these leaves to start with. We're going to need to get them flat. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take and peel these leaves off. I don't know if you can see, but there's this section on the back of the leaf, and those are just kind of a little rubbery section that's supposed to look kind of like the veins in your leaf. But since these are silk, they pull away pretty easily from the plastic. And I'm going to turn it so you can see what I'm doing. I am lifting this up, and I'm peeling it up, pulling it away, and then there's that plastic part, but now I have a nice leaf. We're going to need to get it flat so that it lays nice and flat on the side of our vase, or we're just making it into a candle holder. So you can use your ironing board, or I have just a little quilter block and a quilt iron. You're going to want to put it on steam, and it can go on a pretty high setting. However, you're just doing it for just a tiny bit, maybe not even 4 or 5 seconds actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And then it's going to be nice and flat. When you've got a nice variety of flat leaves, then you're going to start gluing them on. Let's get that over there where I don't burn myself. Then you're going to start gluing them onto, let me move this around so you can see. You're going to start gluing your leaves then onto your glass. And what you're going to want to use is a tacky glue. And it's just a clear tacky glue. You can find this at almost all of your craft stores. And you're going to get the tacky glue onto your leaf. And if you want to use like an old paintbrush or something that you're going to throw away, that's good too. But what I'm doing here is I am just putting the glue on my leaf. I'm putting quite a bit on because I am going to take it on the side of my glass, and I'm just going to kind of move it around a little bit. So I'm getting all of the leaf, I'm getting all the edges of the leaf, I'm getting glue on it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, I think I've got a lot of glue on there. I'm going to then take it and I'm going to come to the center where I know I've got plenty of glue, and I'm just kind of rubbing out to the very edge of my leaf, and you'll feel it coming out to the very edge. If you get it on the glass and you know it's kind of here, way out here on the glass, that's okay. It's going to dry clear, and then we are going to put, there we go, we're going to put a resin over the top of it. Yeah, and that one stuck pretty good, except for right here on this edge. So I'm going to add a little more glue there. And you're going to be putting these leaves on randomly. What I mean by random, they're not all going to be at the top. This one is facing up, and it's a couple inches from the top. This one's facing down. It's about an inch from the top. And this one I've got facing sideways, and it's not clear to the top either. You can, if you want to, bring one all the way up to the top, but I like to have them down a little bit of ways. I just think it looks pretty because you're going to get a nice glow up here. You're going to get a nice glow throughout the whole vase or candle holder. So I've got another section here. I can put a leaf there. Looks like I could probably put another one here. And I could probably put another one here. So you're just going to want to space them out. They don't have to be spaced evenly throughout, because if they were falling from the tree, they would just be falling kind of randomly. Once I have got all my leaves on here, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to let it dry overnight. And then tomorrow we'll be putting our resin on, and our resin then gives it this nice pretty glow. And it also, because we're going to put the paint in that's a little more opaque, we're also going to get some little streaks. And that's going to make it look like a really, really pretty blown glass. I don't know if you can see it here. And then we're going to put our candle in. And once we've got our candle in and we've got our candle on, it's going to have a nice pretty glow that's going to be really pretty on your Thanksgiving table, or anywhere you want to put it right now even, and use it all the way through Thanksgiving. What we're going to do now is we are going to talk about how to make these cute pumpkins. And I bet you can't guess what's on the inside, but I'll hold it this way and see that little circle? What is on the inside of this pumpkin is a toilet paper roll, and they're all the rage right now. All the crafts, little craft clubs and things are doing them, because we've all got toilet paper, and most all of us that quilt or sew or anything, we've got extra fabric. You can go and buy, there's some really pretty fall fabric out right now, and you can go and buy it. I wouldn't buy much more than a yard, and that way you're going to have a little extra. The square that you are going to cut is going to be 22 by 22, and you're going to cut just nice big square. Then you need to iron it. Then I'm going to get this one here to show you. This one I put together a little while ago, but I'm going to take it apart and show you what I did. Take the leaves off, and we're going to take some of the fabric out. going to be a little sticky. So I took my toilet paper roll and I wanted to get my pumpkin all fluffy. So I took off about 6 feet of toilet paper. And people think, boy, that's a lot of toilet paper. But actually, when you start to roll it, you'll realize 6 feet of toilet paper is not a lot. Then I took it and I scunched it all up and I wrapped it all around the bottom. I wrapped it around the top and I even stuck some in here. And you can see that it's kind of made the toilet paper roll now all fluffy. Then I took my finger and just pushed into the toilet paper here on this ridge. And again, that takes some of the square bottom of the toilet paper and it makes it a little rounder. Once you've got your, I'm going to put it up here where you can see it. Once you have your toilet paper all wrapped fluffy, then you're going to take your fabric and you're going to put your toilet paper roll right in the middle. So you've got a 22 by 22 square. I'm going to put this down so you can see. You've got a 22 by 22 or up to 24 inches. 24 by 24 also works great. And I said I've already got some glue on it because I had started to record when I realized that my newly repaired camera was not working well. So what I did is you're going to gather your fabric here. And I'm doing this on the sides of my square. Then I'm going to bring it up. And I'm going to push the fabric down in the center of the toilet paper roll. I'm just pushing it down with my finger. I'm going to come to the next side. So see, I've got this side now. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start in the middle and kind of gather it together. We're going to do all 4 sides that way. And then I'm going to bring it up, push it in the middle. So here we have our next side. We're going to gather it. Pull it up. Let me show you. So I pulled it up. I'm going to tuck it into my toilet paper roll. And now I just have one side here. But I'm going to do the same thing I did before. You can see that it's still part of the square. Here's a corner. And there's a corner that kind of got tucked in. But I'm going to gather it. So you're gathering all 4 sides. And I'm going to bring it up, pull it up like that, and push it into the middle. Now you may end up with a corner here or there that didn't get pushed into the toilet paper roll. So just now go ahead and push those in. There's a section here. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to push it in nice and tight. Do that one nice and tight. Let's go around and get all that fabric pushed in. There you go. Now you can come back and take and pull the fabric so that you get some nice little gathers. And don't worry if it's perfect. Pumpkins aren't perfect. Sometimes they're lumpy and bumpy. Right. So I'm liking that. Now I'm going to want to put a stem in. And there's a couple different things that you could do. You could go outside and find a stick and put a stick down in. Or what I've done here is I have taken, I'm going to put that there because it's got some glue on it. And it's kind of sticky. I have taken a piece of wire, and this is floral wire. Let's see, so you can see what it is. It's floral wire, and I found it in the floral section of one of my craft stores. And you're going to take the wire. You're going to fold it in half, like that. Then you can fold it again, and just kind of fold it till you get. Okay, then I'm going to fold it again until I get something that looks kind of like that. It's not going to be perfectly round like a stem in a pumpkin would be, but it's going to work at least to be able to have a visual appearance of a stem. This is floral tape, and you can find it in your floral section of your craft stores as well. And this happens to be black, but they have nice light green, they'll have a dark green. I have some that's called forest green. But when I saw this black, I thought, oh, that might look nice for fall. And I'm just wrapping the floral tape around and around and around. And I'm coming up and down. The floral tape is really cool. It sticks to itself. So I'm just wrapping it up and down. Now I've got some glue on my fingers from when I took that pumpkin apart. And the glue is also sticking to the floral tape. Once I have gotten it wrapped to where it's taking on kind of a shape of what a stem would look like from a distance, then I'm going to just give it a little bend, and it'll be all ready to poke in the middle of our pumpkin. So now I have my stem in my pumpkin, but what I need to do now is to put on some leaves. I don't know if you can see those, because the camera on my computer is not as good. And you're just going to take them, put some glue. I already have glue on this one. And you're just going to push it kind of up next to your stem. And these, of course, have not been ironed because I want them to have that nice crinkled look. Push that second one in there, and there you go. Now you've got a pumpkin. And we'll set it up here. You can kind of just, bunch them together if you wanted to. Might be kind of cute. I'm going to put it like that. Okay. So you could put them in a whole bunch. This one is up. This one's kind of laying on its side. And there is our candle holder. We do have one that I did a little bit differently, and I want to show you how I did that. I just took, instead of a 22 or 24 section of fabric, I just took ribbon and I went around. Let's see if I've got a piece of ribbon here I can show you. And I just took the ribbon, I put it down in the middle of my toilet paper roll, and of course I'd already patted it well by taking that 6 to 8 feet off of the roll, and then I brought it up and in again. So you can take it, you could even take some shorter pieces if you wanted to and stick them in the bottom and the top. I liked this, I wanted to keep it pretty flat, so I've cut sections that are about, let's see if I can, these were about 1.5 feet. Yeah, so about 1.5 feet of ribbon, and this is that wire ribbon. I really like it. And you could use all different colors of ribbon. This one I think it'd be pretty on one of them too. See, it's just a plaid, and so that would be kind of pretty as well. Okay, well what we're going to do is wait now for the glue on our candle holder. We're going to wait for it to dry, and once it's all dry, it's probably going to take, oh gosh, I would give it overnight at least, because see, just then, I mean this has been sitting and drying, but just then when I rub the leaf, I'm still getting some glue. I don't know if you can see it. Go around every once in a while and look for drips, because those will show up. See, here's one. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's one right there, and I'm just going to take my finger and kind of flatten it out. This glue is going to dry clear, so it doesn't matter how much you're getting on the glass. It's going to dry nice and clear. And there you have it. Let this dry, and I will see you tomorrow, and we're going to put our resin on our candle holder. So I should be back to see you tomorrow. Hello, I'm back, and I've let my vase dry overnight, so all my leaves that I glued on are nice and dry. And now we are ready for our final finish, and it's going to be a nice hard resin finish. We're going to put a little bit of color in it so we have sort of a nice golden glow to it and a little bit of glitter. But the first thing that you need to think about is you need to think about when you're working with resin, it's very, very important to protect your skin and your eyes, and of course you do not want to inhale it. Some people say they don't wear a mask, but I do, just because I don't want to inhale anything that might be harmful to me. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a good mask. And this one is one it's called Soft Seal, and it's one that you can find in the painting section. And these are really important if you're going to do a lot of spray painting. So this one's it's thick, and it's got a rubbery little panel here on the side that once you put it on, it seals pretty tight to your face. You're also going to want some goggles, because if you got anything, paint or anything in your eye, you're going to be in the emergency room right away. But if you got resin in your eye, it could be catastrophic for your eyes. So I like to wear nice goggles that are going to cover my eyes. These are sort of rounded, and that's just really important. So also very important is this is not a product that you are going to want your children to mess with. So if you mix it up, I wouldn't even let my children anywhere near it. You're going to want some gloves, and I have put a long sleeve shirt on. The gloves are important because you don't want to get resin on your skin. If you get resin on your skin, it's very hard to get off. Not only that, it can be damaging to your skin. So I make resin sound awful, but I just like to take safety precautions. And anytime you're working with something that's a chemical, then you want to make sure you do that. So I've got my gloves. I may be bad and not put my mask on because I do want you to be able to hear me. But normally if I'm working with resin by myself in my craft room, I make sure that I do have a mask on. And I love these paint masks. Okay, so then once you have gotten all of your safety gear on, long sleeves and gloves, then you're ready to mix your resin. And mixing your resin is really easy. This is what I bought at Hobby Lobby. You can also get it online. I'll see if I can put some links for you. Also, you're going to want some little measuring cups, and you can find these in the resin aisle wherever you've got your resin. You can also find them, you can find these in the drug department of most of your stores or the pharmacy, because they are the little cups that you would measure like cough medicine and stuff in. So you can find them there too. I bet you could probably find them at the dollar store. So what you're going to want to do with your resin, and I'm going to put a paper plate out here because resin can be really messy, and I don't want, I've got a lot of stuff on my tablecloth here, but if you get resin on a surface you're working on when you're mixing it, it's going to be a sticky, icky mess. So you want to make sure that you do put something down. Plastic. I've got some plastic here. I'm not going to put it down because it's white and you wouldn't be able to see what we're doing if I put it down right now. So I've got my plate. I have my little measuring cups. And now I'm going to open my resin. And when you open the resin, you're going to see you have two parts. I got a fingerprint on this. You're going to see you have two parts, part A and part B. Part B is a hardener. So it takes the resin and when you put part A, which is just the resin basically, part B is more of a resin, but it has something in it that causes all of it when it's stirred up together to harden. So I have a particular way I like to do that. You're going to need a cup because we're not going to mix a ton up. I had one project where I actually mixed up 2 of these, but I'm only going to mix up just a tiny bit today. Okay, so here is our part B. And our part A. I always, when I'm mixing up resin, I've just found that it works better, is I always put my part B, my hardener, in my cup first. And you want to make sure that you measure exact. If you don't measure exactly, then you're going to regret it because it won't cure. And what I'm going to do today, just so that we are exact, and you guys won't be able to read these little measurements, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to fill the cup up. See if I can make it so it's more visible. Let's try this. All right, so I am going to fill it clear to the top with part B. And like I said, it's very, very sticky. That's why you're going to want gloves on. If you don't have gloves on, it's going to be a really messy project for you. And see, it's kind of thick already. And I hope you can see I'm filling it clear to the top. I want to make sure that I have accurate measurements. Don't fill it so much that it runs over, but there we go. We're clear to the top. Now we're going to pour it very carefully. Very carefully we're going to pour it into our cup that we're going to stir it in. And make sure that you get it all scooped out. And I have a nice big popsicle stick because that's what we're going to use to mix it all together. And it takes quite a while. They recommend, sometimes, some directions I've seen, they've recommended 15 minutes. I don't do it quite that long. I just watch to make sure that I have it all mixed. All right, now make sure this little cup, because it's a sticky, icky mess, make sure that it's someplace that you're not going to get it on you or get it in your project. So now we're going to add part A. Like I said, you have A and B. I always put B in my cup first. And we're going to do the same thing. We are going to mix it. And you'll see that it's a little thicker. Because this is the magic. This is the resin. And then we're going to add the hardener to it. It's also resin based, but it has some other chemicals in it. whoop, I dripped a little over the side. So I'm going to be very careful I don't get that on the table anywhere, because it's going to be sticky. Alright, and I'm going to now pour it in over the top of my part B. And part A is a lot thicker, and I think that's why I found that it was better if I put in part B first. Part B kind of coats the side of the whole side of your mixing container. Oh, the phone is ringing. Lots and lots and lots of political calls today. And it's getting the birds all excited. So I'm going to close the door. Okay, so now we're ready. We are going to go ahead and we're going to start mixing it. And I hope you can see it in there. It's clear, so you might not be able to. It's very important. You're not going to stir it, and whisk it a lot. You're just going to go around the outside edge and kind of just fold it. The reason you're just sort of folding it together is you don't want to get a whole bunch of bubbles. If you went around and around and around like that, you're going to get a ton of bubbles in your resin, and then you're not going to like the finished product. You're going to get a few bubbles, and when you're doing resin art, you can take heat to it. You could take a heat gun, or if you have a hairdryer that's really, really hot, on low, so it doesn't blow it all away, but you can heat it up a little bit, and that'll take the bubbles out. So I'm going to stir this for a good long while. It's very, very important that both A and B is completely mixed together. And I'm scraping the side as I go, because of course there's all kinds of the two parts are stuck to the side, and I want to make sure that they are both mixed together. And this is, I will emphasize again, this is really important. If it's not mixed well, then you take the chance of it not curing. Alright, I like how that's looking. Looking good. Okay. Normally, I would set my resin aside for a couple minutes, but today, to save us time, I'm not going to do that. The reason I do is it does start to thicken a little bit, and when it starts to thicken a little bit, then when you start using it on your project, it's not going to run off as much. We're going to make our resin a nice gold color. So what I have here is it's called antique gold, and I have deco art, but you could use folk art paint. Any paint will work. However, you don't want to put a large amount in here, because that is going to mess up the resin and your resin won't cure. So I'm going to put about half a teaspoon, and you can just put it right in. If you're worried you could measure it, but I'm putting it right on the stick there, so I put it right on the stick. That way I can kind of see how much I've got. And then now you're going to mix it. And you're going to mix it in real good. You're folding it in, remember. You're not going to whisk it in. You're just lightly folding it. And this is going to take a while, because you're trying to mix a paint product into a resin product, and it's just going to take a little while. If you're a resin artist, you might have some resin dyes. I have quite a few different colors, but don't invest in the resin dyes unless you are going to do a lot of resin work. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but it's looking pretty good. It's gotten mixed in. Nice gold color. I'm always very paranoid. I want to make sure that I have it all mixed in, so I'm going to stir some more. And I know that I have some still stuck on the side of my stick. So I'm going to make sure that I've got it all mixed, everything off the side of my stick. And again, you're trying to fold, don't go like that. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now these things, your cup and your stick, they are very, very sticky. So what I normally do is I have a trash bag here. I normally get this put in a trash bag right away, so it's not on my surface at all where I can get a sleeve in it or accidentally put my elbow in it or anything like that. So I have a trash bag handy, and I'm going to put this down inside the trash bag. And you're going to notice at this point, and like I said, I didn't put my mask on because I didn't, I want you to be able to hear me, and in my mask it would be pretty muffled. So now at this point, we can start working on putting our glaze or our resin over the top of our vase that we're making into a candle holder. We can put some glitter in, like I said. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to want to make sure that it is stirred in well. Don't leave a big clump of glitter somewhere. I'm not going to put any in this project. I did put quite a bit in this one up here, and when the candle's on and the lights are shining on it, you can see it. This one I'm just going to leave clear without glitter. So it's totally up to you. That's totally optional. You're going to want a paintbrush that is an old one that you're not going to use for anything else because you're going to be throwing this paintbrush out. And then for this project, I found that what worked really well for the resin is I have an old bottle of wine. It's probably not good anymore, but my vase fits right over the top, and that's going to be really important, trying to get it right in the middle so it won't clink on there so much. Yep, it's still going to do that. So what you're going to do now, put it over something so that your vase is standing up. You want something under it so that when you put the glaze on, that it's going to drip down, and we're going to work on down here at the bottom keeping it from having drips that are going to stay there. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to know that when you do this, when you put your resin on, you don't want to do it and then just walk away for the day. You want to make sure that when you do it that you can take it and come around and check it every once in a while for drips. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of resin here at the top. And I want to keep this drippy resin in the middle of a plate here. There we go. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to brush from the center out and let it kind of start dripping over the edge. Resin is real cool. It finds its own level. So even though right now I can see some brush marks in my resin here at the top, it's going to level out. Alright, so now we're getting some drips down the side. What I do at this point is I just saturate my brush, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn this. Hopefully you can. And I am going to start working from the top down all the way around. And I'm kind of brushing up. I'm brushing all around the leaves. Make sure that you are covering your leaf, because that's the importance of the resin, is just to seal all of our pretty leaves inside. I'm going to keep turning my base as I go, and I'm only coming down part way for right now because I've got my hand down here on the bottom part. If I were to work all the way down, I'd have a sticky, icky mess down here. And I like it's already getting kind of a gold glow. And I can see that the bottom's flattening out real nice. Now this starts to harden pretty fast. It won't get to a complete dry, but it'll start to harden, and so you don't want to do part of your resin and then come back and do more. This is something you're going to want to sit down and do it in one fell sweep here, because it will start to cure. And I'm putting quite a bit on. Let me show you my brush. It's pretty full. Again, I'm going all over the leaf and all over the side here. Okay, now I've reached where I started, so I am going to start brushing up again. I'm starting down about here. I still have this so that I wanted to fall over, but I wanted to move it a tad bit here. I still have it so that you know, I'm working some of the resin up, but I'm not going to put as much on my brush. The reason being is that the resin is going to start dripping down the side, and we're going to get a huge amount of resin at the bottom, and I'm just kind of trying to control it, hoping you can see, or since it's partially clear, we used a little bit of paint in it, which gives a little bit of an opaque tendency, so there's some cloudy places, but for the most part it's pretty clear. If you had the resin dyes, they don't have anything in them that would make your resin more of an opaque color, so you wouldn't have any kind of a cloudy area. But what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting this to look like it was glass that I had blown, and so I'm liking getting some streaks in it. I've got some drips going, so I'm going to make sure that I catch those, and I'm just brushing up. Whoop. Glad I had gloves on, because if not, I just dripped some on my hand and on my gloves. If I hadn't had a glove on, I would have a mess right now. So do make sure. I know some people don't like gloves, but this is a project where you really do want them. And this is going to take a while. You're going to keep moving around. The nice thing about having it on this old wine bottle is that I can turn it. Now I'm starting to get a lot of drips. Don't worry about those, because we're just going to come along here in a bit. We're going to come along and we're going to catch those drips, and we're just going to push them back up again. Let's see if I can show you. Okay, here's a pretty good drip. Hoping you can see it right there. So I'm just going to catch it and I'm going to brush back up. And what I'm doing now is I am just holding the very bottom, so you can see it's just sitting there on my wine bottle. And I'm going to start working very lightly. I don't have very much resin on my brush right now because I have quite a bit of resin that has dripped, and I can use a lot of it. Be careful that you don't let your vase bang on your wine bottle too much, because it's fragile right now especially, but once we get the resin on, it's not going to be as fragile because we'll have another layer of real hard. The resin will harden up a lot. So like I said, I'm getting drips, and I'm just taking them and I'm making sure that I am getting plenty of resin on my leaves. There we go. Now you're going to have a little bit of resin left over because since I measured the way I did, to show you that we wanted to do equal parts, I've got a little extra resin in my cup. And when I do that, then I take, and if I've got a project that I want to put resin on, or if I decide I want to make some jewelry or some coasters or something, I can take the resin that I have in the cup and use it real fast before it starts to harden up, because it'll harden up in the cup and it will be really, really hard in the cup. And that's probably, if you're not going to do it on another project, just let it sit in the cup and harden up, and then you can throw it into the trash. All right, so I've been all the way around. I think this is a good time then to check and make sure, kind of look from the side or from the top and make sure that your leaves are completely covered. I see a couple little places right here. And that's looking pretty good. For some reason, I see one little spot right here. Resin follows resin. So if you have a place that you didn't get any resin on the glass, it's going to have a tendency to kind of drip around that spot. But I'm going to find those places so that I don't have any place on my vase that hasn't been covered with the resin. Now it is going to continue to drip for a little while, but I like what I'm getting now. I am getting some little drips that are starting. I don't know if you can see anything on the top, but they're starting to look kind of like where I have taken and I've blown a color into my glass. All right. So at this point, you're going to want to make sure that it's nice and level on your wine bottle here, so that it's hanging over the wine bottle, but it's not touching the wine bottle now. The importance for that is that since the resin is going to continue dripping, we want it to drip right off and maybe down onto our plate, rather than dripping all over the wine bottle and making the wine bottle be attached to our vase, because that's kind of hard to get undone. So I'm going to go around and look now and make sure that I've got any drips. And you'll think, oh my goodness, I've got all the drips done, but you'll come back in a couple minutes and do this again, and you're going to notice you've got a drip. You want to catch the drip now, because if it hardens, it's hard to get off. Sometimes I can take a blade, like a razor blade, and I can get it cut it off while it's still soft. Generally, it's hard to, after it's hardened, it's almost impossible. You can try taking something where you can sand it. I've seen artists take Dremels to it, but this is fragile glass, and I don't want to mess with it too much because I can crack it. All right, so now this is going to need to dry, and it's going to need to dry for quite a while. But during the day, like I said, keep coming back, watching for drips. And the best thing to do is let this dry 24 hours at the least. If you come into your room and maybe you're working in your garage where it's cool, or you've got a lot of humidity in the air, you might come in and touch it and go, ooh, it's still pretty sticky. Then you know that you're going to have to let it cure longer. So 24 hours, but maybe even longer. Well, I like what it's doing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I love how I'm getting just some nice little lines of the opaque part of the resin. Here's a pretty one right here. So, hello, I'm back. I'm anxious to see how this is going to look. It's actually going to be loose because I was careful to not have it, leaning and sticking on the side of my bottle at all. However, if yours is stuck, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and turn it over, and say it was stuck right about here. Then you can take an X-Acto blade, or you can take a razor blade, and you could take it and just kind of take your blade and slip it down between the rim of the glass and your bottle. Now, if you have any drips that you didn't catch, and that's easy because this drips for quite a while, you can take a blade. Whoops, my blade is coming loose or out or something here. You can take a blade, and what you would do then is just come along the top. There's kind of a drip right here. I don't know if you can see it. But what I'm going to do is take my blade, and with this X-Acto blade is very sharp, so keep it cutting away from you, and your hand out of the way. So I'm just carefully cutting. I'm not going to push way down on this way. I'm just sideways, kind of just taking a little tiny at a time. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now I wanted to show you, I'm really excited about this side over here. I don't know if you can, I'm going to turn it back upside down, but you can see when I turn it, see some of the variations in the color of the finish that we have on it. And there was another place I thought was pretty cool. Okay, kind of right over here, right in here, there are also some of those little streaks. What I like about those is they kind of look a little bit like a blown glass would look. And all in all, there's going to be a few little imperfections, but all in all, I am really glad that we did this project. I'm really happy how it turned out. I like that both of them have such a pretty glow, and they're going to be pretty on my Thanksgiving table. This one I'll show you has, this is just a plain old everyday ashtray that I saw at the secondhand store. I don't smoke, but as soon as I saw it, I thought, ooh, that'd make a pretty base for some of my glass art. And then I also love these candles. And these candles, you can get them at most of your big box stores. And the reason I like this one so much is because there's a little place to turn it on and off. Oops, went right past it. To turn it off, and then one way it's on and it just has just a straight glow. The other way is it flickers a little bit. It's kind of hard to see, I know. But I just like the way they look, and when you put them inside these candle holders that we made, and you put them in, it might not want to stand straight up and down. If that's the case, you can take something that's sticky, a piece of clay. I sometimes, in a hurry, have like a little votive. I have a votive that the candles don't fit right in. And I just put a piece of gum. I chew a piece of gum and stick it down in there. The gum comes out easily. Okay, so this is our project. Like I said, I am really, really happy with how it turned out. And it's going to be so cute with our pumpkins. You could make a whole arrangement on your table. Maybe lay one of your pumpkins to the side and have another pumpkin that's standing up. And then if you've got a few extra leaves, you could throw some leaves around here and there on the table. And I think it'll be really pretty. You could use some mums too. You could put some little mums around it. Or you could just set it on a big round mirror, and I see those at the dollar store all the time. All right, well, I am really happy with how our project turned out, and if you enjoyed this project and you're happy with how it turned out, please hit the like button and also the subscribe button below. I'm hoping the like button is there. I have put it back twice. The subscribe button is there, so all you have to do is click it. All right, see you next time. Take care. Bye.